There are three Cardano native assets that I am specifically watching right now for a couple of different converging reasons. First off, all three of these assets are good assets in their Cardano ecosystem. They do good things, and they are classic utility projects, classic utility fundamental things that I think are shining above the rest and have a good reason for being on the Cardano blockchain. There's no meme coins, no NFTs, no AI, no gaming, none of that stuff. These are pure utility plays that I think are having a convergence of really good fundamentals and really poor price action, where now might be the perfect time to take a good buy into them or convert some ADA to them. So I want to highlight these three projects and look at the charts I'm looking at and the reasons I'm looking at for these assets. I've currently bought two of the three assets. I probably won't buy the third one. I'm running out of money, but I bought two of them, so I do have skin in this game, and I'll tell you how much I have and what I have and why I have them. Now, when I talk about the converging of different things happening to make these plays show up in my eyes, there's a couple things happening. One, Cardano is coming down a little bit. It's pulling back from that 75 cents that it was a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. It's been hovering around 50 and 60 cents, and today, even it's having a rough day, it's at like 48 cents. But I don't see Cardano's ADA going much lower, and there's a couple reasons. I'm going to put some charts on the screen to help us explain it and do some voiceover with it to show you what I'm looking at. But Cardano is having its casual ups and downs as it goes through this bull market process. Cardano is dropping down to me its 200-week simple moving average, and I really don't see a lot of reasons for it to go below that. Also, as that is happening and Cardano is doing a slight pullback, we have some Cardano native tokens exploding, one of them being World Mobile Token. It had some good news with like Starlink or something. I don't know, I don't read too much into those things because they're very speculative, but World Mobile Token has taken a lot of the liquidity in the Cardano native scene. In fact, over the past week and a half, as World Mobile Token has really pumped up high, we have seen a number of Cardano native assets that were once super hyped start to take a couple of really big red days, red candles in a row. So as we see this liquidity kind of shift from these native assets to World Mobile Token, in my eyes, the red days provide an opportunity to not chase the World Mobile Token pump, but chase the red days in the utility tokens, buy them while they're down, convert ADA while they're down, and take those opportunities. So much like ADA hitting kind of its low like retracement on the 200-week simple moving average, I see a lot of these Cardano native assets, these three that I want to talk about today, doing the same thing. They're hitting those lows while we're still in this bull market uptrend, and some projects are outperforming like World Mobile Token, but I want to talk about why that is now pulling back because of hype speculators jumping in on the good news, and why these beaten down Cardano native assets that have taken a couple red days in a row are actually probably pretty good buys right now. And I, over the last 2 weeks, have probably put in about $2,000 in fresh ADA that I just bought in order to get a position in some of these things. Okay, so when I'm talking about Cardano not having a ton of room to go down, this is what I'm looking at. This is a logarithmic chart of Cardano versus the US dollar, and we're going to look at the daily chart and we're going to look at the weekly chart. This right here, this red one, is your 200-day simple moving average. And what I know about the 200-day simple 200-day moving average is that the last time that we popped above it down here in 2020 was right before the big run up that we had in 2021. And traditionally, as we've seen here, we really only have one data point right here checking it out. But as Cardano has come above it right in the pre-halving year or in the halving year, a couple months before our halving, there hasn't been a chance for it to go below that 200-day simple moving average until the end of the next bull run. Here, there's a little bit of chop here in like the post-halving or the post-bull market year in that 2019 year, right? There is a definite up and down between the 200 moving average one or two times. And we can see that we've had that. We came above the 200-day simple moving average. We came below, and we're teetering it with again. You could have said we came above it here, and we came above it here. Now we went back below it, and we are coming back above it again. And what I expect from our singular data point that we have over here is I expect that we are in this type of pattern right now. We are slowly coming back to our 200-day simple moving average. We're flatlining some of these moving averages. And when you move flat on moving averages, then you have the potential to either move up or down. In this kind of scenario, I expect us to move up. That is the trend. That's where Bitcoin's going. That's where money supply is going because everyone's expecting the federal government to cut rates. But right here, you can see we had our one time of testing that 200-day simple moving average in red, and then it was off to the races. I expect the same thing to happen here. Our one time to test the 200-day simple moving average, and we could easily see a Cardano price down here at about 50 cents, 48 cents, 49 cents, somewhere in this range does not surprise me. Anywhere between, that $50 and 70 to 75, or 50 cents, 70 to 75 cents. That is an easy spot for Cardano to sit in this kind of accumulation zone as these moving averages kind of level out before heading upwards again. So this is not a big deal for me. This is what I say when I mean Cardano doesn't have a lot of room to go down. I think it would take a lot of sell pressure or a lot of overall pressure in the crypto market for Bitcoin to push further, Cardano to push further, Ethereum to push further, everything to push further downwards than it already is, right? We can see how Bitcoin has room to the downside, in like that 60,000, upper 58,000 range. Cardano kind of has the same thing between the 48 cents, 50 cents, 55 cents. Ethereum's kind of in that low 3,000 range. It would take something mega, I think, to push it below a 200-day simple moving average when the history is not there for that. So this is the Cardano chart, this is the daily chart, and the weekly chart is showing the exact same thing. If we zoom in here, reset our price scale, you can see how it makes sense that we would get kind of pushed down to that 200-day simple moving average on the daily time frame, when on the weekly time frame we are running into the 200-week simple moving average. All right, so this is kind of running into it. We're getting squeezed between these other moving averages, and I would not be surprised to expect Cardano to chop here a little bit before hopefully these moving averages turn around and overtake that 200-week simple moving average, pushing Cardano to the upside on the long term. There's no other data points for 200-week simple moving average, but you can kind of see that motion here happening again. The yellow, the 20-week simple moving average will go first, then orange, and then like orange, red, and then red. The first token I want to talk about today is Iagon, aka IAG. It is the decentralized cloud storage service on Cardano that really I was not super interested in for a very long time. Now, I wasn't super interested in it because it has a lot of token supply to release, because they're, rewarding people for supplying them with nodes, aka their computing power or computers. And then when you supply computers to run decentralized storage across all these computers all over the world for the Cardano blockchain, you get rewards. So they got to slowly drip those rewards out. So 1, 2, 3 years ago when I was looking at IAG, this was never something that really was a big long-term hold for me. Now, I hold some NFTs related to Iagon. I hold a House of Titans, and I know Strongholds and House of Titans PFPs will give you those IAG rewards, but for the longest time IAG was not really something I wanted to touch. I do still think that a lot of products that are like cloud-based service or data-based services within crypto can be speculative. Like I personally wouldn't go buy something like a file coin or something that's solely related to that niche. I see an opportunity where stuff like that gets bought by something like Ethereum or Cardano Foundation and brought as a side chain to an Ethereum or a Cardano. But IAG never took my interest because of the massive amounts of token supply that were still going to be released. And I know I don't have compute power or the ability to kind of like earn IAG at the rate that I wanted to. Since we are in the bull market now though, and I will show you my IAG chart that I'm looking at, I don't necessarily have to worry about the excess IAG liquidity coming out. There's a couple reasons why I don't have to worry. The first reason is we're in that phase of the bull market where fully diluted market cap isn't going to matter so much anymore. Over the next year, when you're working with kind of like a year or less, you have a lot less time for tokens to be released out into the ecosystem, out into liquidity, and affect your token inflation, right? So if I was going to hold IAG for like 2 or 3 years, I would want to be worried about token inflation, and I would want to look at the fully diluted market cap. But right now, I expect this position I'm taking, I don't know when I'm going to sell it, but I expect it to be shorter than a year, maybe late 2024, mid 2024, early 2025, something to where I don't necessarily have to worry about IAG's token inflation, okay? I also think it's a very good buying time because of the dip in IAG, and I will show on the chart where I see a potential level of where this thing can't really go much lower. So I have a lot of reasons why IAG right now is a current buy for me, either to hold like mid to short term or throughout the end of this year as we kind of definitely move into that bull market and Cardano starts to get its power back and move up to like the $2 and $3 range. So IAG is a classic utility project on Cardano, and I've seen a lot of people talk about like AIs and data and cloud computing and storage. These are all going to be very big narratives because people want to make them very big narratives, right? It's like NVIDIA and AI, right? Microsoft and AI, ChatGPT, OpenAI, all these things. Iagon is definitely going to do good because of all that, and people need cloud computing and they need storage, and there's potential for businesses and services like that to get bought out. So I think IAG is a really classic and good project. The main reason I never bought into it was because of that big liquidity in a space where I don't feel comfortable trying to obtain some of that liquidity to keep up with token inflation. Now that that's kind of out of the picture because IAG has dipped, it's reaching some critical levels, and we're in the shorter term. I say less than a year is shorter term. I can kind of ignore that liquidity and just focus on market cap numbers instead of fully diluted market cap, and it makes me much more comfortable with this position. Moving into the IAG chart now, it's a little bit of the same thing as the ADA chart. Now, I look at some of these Cardano native asset charts in USD pairs. So the ones I'm going to show you today are in USD pairs, but if you want to look at it in ADA pairs, you can do it yourself, or we can make another video looking at ADA pairs. I bought these kind of with USD. I turned USD into ADA into Cardano native assets. So I'm just looking at it in USD terms as to what I can kind of do short term with these things. But you can see how IAG is hanging on to this 20-week simple moving average or 20-week moving average. It's coming down below it. It's staying above. But overall, this trend line is moving in one singular direction. And that kind of built my confidence as to why I think this could be an interesting thing to buy. Now, I don't think if you buy here and IAG comes down to this 50-week moving average, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing, right? You can take a little bit of a loss short term, but overall, in the bull market, it's not going to matter. You're going to have some positive momentum here in a few weeks. You're going to have some good outcomes sooner or later. But as world mobile tokens going up, people are taking their attention towards it. I saw a downwards trajectory in the IAG price, and I wanted to get a little bit while I could. I took a buy around here. Don't know the exact price. Doesn't really matter. But I don't see a lot of reasons to see a potential huge downside. When we switch over to the 3-day, looking at the 3 days, another good thing, gives you kind of like a medium action of what's happening over a couple of days. You have the same kind of scenario. What I see here when I look at this is I see a lot of what's going on today correlated back to what happened in September of 2023. We had like that big summer meme coin craze, Cardano DeFi craze, and things cooled off for quite a bit. But IAG has never really broken below this 50 moving average line, this blue line. It will pierce below it. It will kind of hang out around it. And I hope that's what's happening right now. But we see like in all of our simple moving averages, all of our RSIs, all of our MACDs, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up. In this bull market, it's not really piercing below with lower lows. So I'm assuming the same thing is happening here today. I decided to take a position. I would like to see it continue to stay above or around this blue line. And then from there, hopefully go up as the rest of the market goes up in the coming weeks after the halving, potentially. The second big token that I am looking at and actually am investing in right now in order to lower my average buy price is Lenfi. Lenfi is one of the OG lending protocols on Cardano. And I know everyone has a favorite lending protocol, whether you like Indigo, Lenfi, Liquid, all the different things. There's so many different ones that you can use. I personally enjoy Lenfi because one, it was one of the oldest ones. Two, I really love what they're doing with pooled lending. I like that they still have P2P lending on their kind of like old ADA website. And I do like the rebrand and I like what they're doing. I feel like when I think of the top lending protocols on Cardano, Lenfi comes to my mind as one of the top ones. And so because of that, I have a position in it and I want to have a position in it. I think on every blockchain that has a DeFi ecosystem, you always need to be invested, or you should look at being invested into the DEXs and the lending protocols, because those are the two things everyone's going to want to use and will use to provide transactions and stability in a banking ecosystem on a DeFi chain like Cardano. As we saw World Mobile Token go up, in accordance with that, I saw a lot of negative or a lot of selling with the Lenfi token. And for me, that raised some green flags. Lenfi is not a token that I would necessarily say is like worth selling at these prices. I don't think it's worth the FUD. I don't see a lot of reasons why you would think that the Lenfi team is doing bad. I know people have talked about how like the Lenfi team doesn't market or doesn't communicate as well, and that's what made them sell their bags. These are not big issues for me. What I see when I see Lenfi, I see the price is currently down. The price was being exasperated downwards as World Mobile Token was going up. I see some FUD on Twitter or some like people talking about how they sold out of their Lenfi bag due to the downtrend and stuff. And I just see a classic rotation of capital. So a lot of things pushing price down, but not a lot of fundamentals changing, for me opens up a green flag. And I see this red day as a time that I want to buy. Also for Lenfi, I see a lot of good work on the D app. I see them trying to be like an ADA competitor. I see them getting more decentralized, and I see them open up pooled lending. This is a very big deal. Originally they were just P2P lending and everyone loved them, but now they've released pooled lending and P2P lending and a more decentralized ecosystem where a pool can go down but it doesn't affect everyone, and now nobody wants to buy them. That seems like a green flag to me. I enjoy the fact that Lenfi has continued to grow and continued to develop. Are there ways I think that they can get even better? Yes, but I think that they're pushing to put more things out. I think the DEXs can get better on Cardano. I think the lending protocols can get better. I think every single thing can get better. So it's not just a Lenfi issue, right? And so I see the negative action on the price as a good signal for me, and that's why I have started buying Lenfi. And I hold something like, I don't know, maybe over 1,000 Lenfi now. I'll show you towards the end. The big thing about Lenfi though is when I think of lending protocols, I want simple, I want easy to use, I want good user interface or good enough. I always think the user interface and the user experience can get better, but it's good enough. And I want something that's decentralized and secure and safe that's been around for quite a bit. When I think of lending on Cardano, I think of Lenfi. For me, that's the best one and the one that I've always looked at. So that's the one that I'm going to invest in. If you like other lending protocols, just go invest in them if the price is kind of at a price you're willing to buy. Yeah, same thing on the daily for Lenfi. It's putting in some gnarly red candles right here. You can see a gnarly day for Lenfi today. But my big thing is it dips below the 200. It finds a support ground, kind of in the same spot it did back in September. Same with the IAG chart, same with the Lenfi chart. We're getting back to those September levels, kind of as like retouching that support. I would expect us to not really dip below it much further. I don't see a lot of reason for that to happen. And if it did happen, it would just be kind of like a lot of contrary actions compared to what we see in the market today. So I see a big reason why Lenfi is bottoming on all these things. The MACD is kind of moving sideways. It's not really moving down anymore. I would expect to see something like this start to print more green candles. And I am getting ahead of myself. Most traders would sit around and wait for something like this to print green and start making its way back up before getting in, right? So maybe if it was like back here in September is a good example. I'm trying to figure this out right here when Lenfi is bottoming, when IAG is bottoming, and I'm trying to figure out when I think it's going to start to reverse. It's a very, very complicated and hard thing to do, and I don't expect to get it 100% right. But I know that as we get back to these 200 and as we get above, everyone then starts to get into positions, then starts to trade, and that's where you get these green pumps. I'm trying to just get a little bit ahead of it by understanding what is happening in the market, what's contrary to people's ideas, and why something like Lenfi and something like IAG is being beaten down on weekly, 3-day, and daily charts. The third and final Cardano project, Cardano native asset that I'm specifically looking at right now, this is the one that I'm not going to build a position in because I'm kind of running out of fiat. But it's going to be Hunt. It's a DexHunter, and I think really Hunt has done a lot of great things for Cardano and Cardano traders and Cardano transactions. It's crazy to say, but I don't ever think about using an actual DEX anymore. I used to trade on MinSwap. Before that, I traded on Sunday Swap. I've tried, Muesli Swap, always trying to get good fees, good transactions, good liquidity. I don't ever think about that anymore. I don't ever worry about that. I always just go to DexHunter, and I just do my swaps. You can see what everyone's buying, what everyone's selling, what's trending. They have baskets, and I'm pretty sure they're doing more things with cross-chain stuff like Ethereum-based stuff, Binance-based stuff, and hopefully I've heard they're doing some more innovations, some more releases. I've seen something called like Splash or There's another token out there like NVLT or something that they're working on, but I see them working on other stuff. And in the Cardano community, most people are not using DEXs as much, or at least not the people I talk to. They're using DexHunter, an aggregator, trying to get good prices and have a better user experience. This is my natural thing that I use, and so if I was going to make an investment, it's something that I would look at. It also doesn't have a lot of tokens out there that need to be released for liquidity. It doesn't have like a lot of crazy tokenomics that aren't favorable to retail investors, and the token does get you like better premium trading features, so it has a reason to exist. Now, again, the reason why Hunt looks so valuable at these prices is World Mobile Token goes up, it takes a lot of liquidity, and these small projects like Hunt, Lenfi, IAG, they kind of get beaten down when all that liquidity is rotated to World Mobile Token short term. Because of that, you have an opportunity to look at something like Hunt, buy it, purchase it, hold it, either for short term or for the long term out until 2024 and 2025 before you rotate back into ADA. So Hunt is in just a unique situation where I think it's approaching some lows, it's approaching some good buying points, and it's a good overall project that everyone I know and everyone I talk to uses. So if they're using it and it's the hot thing to do and the hot thing to buy and the hot thing to technically trade with, why would it not be a good investment? Especially when the tokenomics are there and the team is there and all the fundamentals are there. Hunt is going to be the last chart we're going to look at today, and it's probably not as good of a looking chart as the Lenfi and IAG ones, and I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with it, but I do know that it is massively getting crushed today against the dollar, and over the past couple of days and over the past week or so, it has just been coming down, 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 and people are trading out of it into things like World Mobile Token and other tokens. So I know Hunt's coming back into these 786 ranges. It's teetering with that 786 to 618 level. I would be curious to see if the daily chart, if it dips below this 786 level and then comes back above. The big thing I think before you would want to build a position in is see where it's bottoming. Like I said, other traders would kind of wait. This is kind of one of those charts where I'd wait because it's not really sure what's happening here. Kind of like the Lenfi and IAG, we kind of had a lower support to rely on. Hunt doesn't really have that until down here at about the 10-cent range, right? And so maybe you want to wait to see if it comes down and touches the 10 cent, but it is getting dominated. People are selling out of it. It's just something to watch and look at if you're looking for Cardano long-term native asset gems. I've showed you some charts, I've showed you some reasons and some ideas behind why I've chosen these three as good assets to look into right now. You don't have to buy all of them, you don't have to buy any of them. I just want to show you what I'm thinking about when I'm looking at these things and why I decided to scoop up some IAG and why I decided to double down on my Lenfi bag. It's kind of like a unique series of events, and if you look at this from the lens that I'm looking at through it, hopefully in the next coming months we'll have more opportunities like this, or you can look for more opportunities like this in the Cardano native asset scene. There's always a big lesson to learn from this is like the retail crowd is very emotion heavy, and it happens to me as well. I get emotion heavy as well in trading and in buying. Some things that have helped me with that is just trying to stay out of the crypto news or taking news without letting it affect your emotions. And it takes practice, but a big lesson we can learn from this situation is that as some tokens pump outside of like the rest of the Cardano scene, like World Mobile Token had some news, causes it to pump, that is always a kind of distraction. You can either decide to chase those pumps, or you can look around and analyze what is happening with all these other tokens that you thought were good a couple months ago. It's like the native, or it's like ADA. ADA right now is taking a beating. You see it online and everywhere, and everyone's talking about it. Why in the world would you trade something that a couple months ago you thought was awesome and everyone else thought was doing just fine? Not good, not bad, but just hanging in there like everything else. Now it's all of a sudden bad, and people want to trade their ADA for other tokens. That just doesn't seem like a great idea to me. It's like trading your ADA for something that has already pumped when ADA hasn't had its turn yet. So why would you trade some of your Cardano native assets for something like World Mobile Token after it has already pumped? I get if you had been buying World Mobile Token for months and months and months before this, but right now it just doesn't seem like a great idea. World Mobile Token is retracing. I'll show you on the chart. It's retracing. It's coming back from that high, and people are going to move that asset or that profit back to these other Cardano native assets. So you should always see what everyone's doing, what's pumping and why it's pumping, yes, but then you should take your emotions out of it and understand, hey, that's doing great. What about all these other things that I also thought were great? Are they still great? What's happening with those prices? Why are those not going up? Why are they going down, right? Why is everything down? All these things. So it's just another way to look at the Cardano native scene. These aren't the only 3 projects that I think are great. I just think that there is a convergence of things happening right now to where these projects are interesting enough to possibly take a position. By the time you're watching this, it might even be a little too late on some of these. So take your time, go slow. You don't have to buy any of these right now, but this is how I'm looking at some of the Cardano native tokens, and this is how I'm trying to make a little bit more ADA for myself by doing some things contrary to what everyone else says. Those are the 3 Cardano native assets that I'm kind of loving right now. I think that the convergence of their price going down, their utility staying the same or getting better, and then everyone kind of just taking their eyes off of them is a great buying opportunity. If you see an opportunity like that, you might want to jump on it in the future. Or if you see opportunities where one asset, like a World Mobile token, gets way ahead of the rest of the pack, you might want to take an opportunity and short it. You could have shorted World Mobile token a couple days ago, maybe like 5 days ago when it was at its peak, and you would have made some money on it, right? And so these are some risky plays, but take it with time, take it slowly, and it's all in good fun. Let me know in the comments, do you hold IAG? Do you hold Hunt? Do you hold Lenfi? Do you think that these are good picks? And do you think I'm buying good things right now? Let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to discuss why you think these are some good projects, or what you think about them. Or do you think I should buy World Mobile token now that it's coming down, right? Let me know your thoughts on some of this so we can all kind of figure this out together, all right? Other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.